Welcome back for a relaxing Sunday night in. We hope you've enjoyed Acts 1 and 2, and we're excited as hell to bring you Act 3, starting right now. As always, pour 'em and roll 'em. This is Excavate, Act 3. The collapse of the sixth and final civilization is the most terrifying example of how even the most advanced technology is helpless against the overwhelming power of the cosmos. This society mastered the manipulation of time, and yet the solar micronova exposed the horrifying limits of their technology and ultimately led to their downfall. Able to transcend the constraints of linear existence, they developed technology that could freeze time in localized areas, allowing them to complete years of work in mere seconds. Marvels of engineering making up entire cities could be built, crops could grow, and entire industries could flourish in the blink of an eye. On the individual level, people could experience time dilation. That is, experiencing different rates of time, slowing it down or speeding it up at will. This allowed them to live longer, process more information, and complete vast projects within what would seem like seconds to an outside observer. Perhaps their most advanced technology, they had the ability to view and, in some limited cases, travel to different points in the timeline. They could visit the past, observe future events, and shape their present actions accordingly. Their manipulation of time gave them immense power and a sense of invincibility. They believed that by mastering the timeline, they could control their destiny, correct any mistakes, and avoid any disaster. Yet, when the solar micronova struck, it proved to be something that even the manipulation of time could not prevent. Their ability to see into the future gave them glimpses of solar activity, but the unpredictable nature of solar micronovas was beyond their models. When the event struck, the consequences were immediate and devastating. The civilization had constructed vast arrays of temporal technologies, which were interconnected with the planet's natural electromagnetic fields. These technologies bent the very fabric of time, creating temporal distortions, time bubbles, and pockets of slowed or accelerated reality. However, the micronova unleashed a massive influx of charged particles and electromagnetic radiation that disrupted the delicate balance of these time manipulation devices. The solar micronova didn't just impact the planet physically, it warped space-time itself. The intense burst of electromagnetic energy caused temporal distortions to ripple outward, interfering with the civilization's vast time manipulation infrastructure. The first sign of catastrophe was the creation of uncontrollable feedback loops in their time manipulation systems. As the solar radiation bombarded the planet, it caused erratic fluctuations in the temporal fields they had carefully calibrated. Areas where time had been slowed or accelerated began to unravel. Entire cities, caught in temporal bubbles, were aged thousands of years in seconds. Buildings crumbled to dust, plants overgrew and decayed, and the people within them were turned to skeletal remains, consumed by the passage of time in an instant. Other areas were completely frozen, trapping people in horrifying stasis. These individuals were fully conscious, but unable to move, speak, or interact with the world around them. They could see the chaos unfolding, but were powerless to escape it. Temporal paradoxes began to occur. Those who had traveled through time were suddenly pulled back to their original points in the timeline, violently re-entering their own pasts or futures in a state of confusion and terror. Some individuals were confronted by their own future or past selves, leading to existential crises and temporal collapse. The fabric of reality one another, creating zones where multiple epochs coexisted. Dinosaurs appeared alongside futuristic machines, and primitive tribes coexisted with advanced post-human entities, leading to chaos and violence. The unraveling of their civilization happened with horrifying speed. Within hours of the solar micronova, their entire society, with its thousands of years of progress and technological wonder, was reduced to chaos and ruin. Despite their ability to manipulate time, they couldn't escape the brute force of the universe. The solar micronova, an event completely outside their control, rendered all their technology useless and their mastery over time meaningless. The solar event is a reminder that nature is not subject to control, and even time, which has been mastered, cannot protect from the destruction unleashed. This left me horrified. As the last layer of stone was carefully removed, the pillar cracked, revealing what had been hidden beneath it for millennia. A staircase, spiraling down into the depths of the earth. The steps, untouched by time, were carved with precision that no ancient tool should have been able to create. We followed the staircase down. The rock-cut architecture echoed the design of Kuyu, but the scale here seemed to surpass even that ancient underground city. Ancient glyphs and arcane carvings covered the walls. When I finally stepped off the staircase and onto the cold stone floor of what was clearly an underground city, the scale of the hidden chambers beneath Gobekli Tepe became evident. The space stretched far beyond the reach of our flashlights, disappearing into darkness. Here, more than 200 meters underground, was a network of halls, living quarters, ventilation shafts, and storage spaces. Carved ducts in the stone appeared to channel air through the entire complex. But it wasn't simple airflow. It was energy, something akin to ancient electromagnetic induction technology, guiding and focusing the Earth's natural electromagnetic fields. The underground city was engineered for more than just human survival. It was a technological marvel, designed to withstand both environmental cataclysms and, more disturbingly, to function as a containment system. Intricate inscriptions of geometric patterns lined the walls and ceilings, patterns that mirrored the sacred geometry of the stone circles above. These weren't decorative, they were functional, part of a resonance system that harnessed the Earth's natural vibrational frequencies. The very stones hummed softly, emitting a vibration I could feel under my feet. At certain points in the chamber, faintly glowing symbols began to appear, illuminated by an unknown source of energy, possibly piezoelectricity created by the pressure of the stone. These symbols marked key nodal points where the energy converged and intensified. The entire city seemed to be designed as one massive energy conduit, focusing towards something at its core. As we approached the central chamber, I realized what the builders had been protecting: the Stargate. We found the Stargate, standing in a massive, vaulted chamber that dwarfed everything else we'd seen. The chamber walls were etched with ancient celestial maps. The gate wasn't simply carved from stone. It was a complex, hybrid device, composed of materials far beyond anything known in human history. The structure appeared to be part quartz, part exotic alloy, materials that could theoretically channel immense amounts of energy. The crystalline matrix embedded within the stone was likely designed to amplify and focus quantum energy, working as a kind of trans-dimensional capacitor. I immediately recognized the symmetry of the structure. It was built to resonate at specific frequencies, aligning directly with the natural harmonics of the planet and the universe. The inscriptions corresponded to star charts and astronomical cycles, indications that the gate was only usable during certain planetary alignments. This wasn't just a stargate, it was locked to the stars themselves, requiring precise cosmic conditions for activation. We spent days studying the walls of the Stargate chamber. In the end, we came away with a rudimentary understanding of how it worked. The gate functioned through a process of quantum entanglement and gravitational manipulation. When activated, the ring would create a localized Einstein-Rosen bridge, bending space-time to form a wormhole that could connect two distant locations, perhaps even two dimensions. The crystalline nodes embedded in the ring functioned like quantum processors, harnessing zero-point energy and stabilizing the gateway. However, the inscriptions on the surrounding pillars contained an unmistakable warning. They showed figures stepping through the gate, but also shadowy entities emerging from the other side, leading what looked like groups of human slaves. The harmonics of the gate weren't just tuned to the stars, they were tuned to something darker, something from beyond. We learned the gate required immense power to activate, and that power came not just from the Earth, but from solar events. Solar micronovas weren't just a natural disaster, they were the key to unlocking the gate. The massive energy released during the micronova, combined with the weakening magnetic field and shifting poles, would send enough energy into the Earth to open the gate again. The final inscription, etched deeply into the stone surrounding the Stargate, sent chills down my spine. It showed the gate opened in the past during a previous cataclysm. What came through wasn't just human. The glyphs depicted figures, tall and twisted, their bodies elongated, their eyes dark and hollow, leading men and women chained together through the Stargate. These entities, it seemed, used the gate as a beacon to enter worlds during times of crisis, times when civilization was collapsing under the weight of natural disasters and global upheaval, and they repopulated it. Our group realized it was a way of continuing the human species, but in the most frightening way possible. The Stargate was a doorway to Base 36 Delta. That's what they call it. A place, no, a realm, where beings, not human, not from our world, run their experiments. Thousands of years of experiments on us, on other species, on other planets, all over the cosmos. They watch us like lab rats, tweaking, prodding, monitoring outcomes, like a civilizational recipe, a dash of a better understanding of time manipulation here, a dash towards biomechanical symbiosis there, and a hint of vibrational aptitude to top it off. They set up the parameters and test us. Not just humans, other species, other life forms, things you wouldn't even recognize as living. But humans, we're their favorite subjects. They choose planetary environments, entire ecosystems isolated from each other just far enough apart so they don't interact, with different rules in each. Sometimes it's temperature extremes, sometimes it's gravitational forces, other times evolution itself is shifted, and Base 36 Delta, that's where the real work is done. They create worlds where evolution isn't gradual, where it's forced. We're talking accelerated timelines, spliced genetics, forced adaptation, entire species evolving into something unrecognizable within a millennium. They observe how we respond to death, disease, war, and extinction. They study our reactions to suffering, chaos and collapse. They picked Earth because of the sun. It provided exactly what they needed, a natural reset point. That's how they close the books on each experiment. They get to monitor what the time provided, then it's obliterated. The cities, the people, the history, all of it wiped out, no trace left behind. The planet cools, the dust settles, and they start over, sending in primitives through the Stargate to refill the land. Since leaving the site, I've had little contact with the other archaeologists from the dig. I'm not sure what they're doing with this information, but I've made my most educated prediction for the timeline of the next solar micronova and based it off several factors: solar cycles, geomagnetic weakening, and the Gobekli Tepe encodings. The solar activity leading up to a micronova follows a specific pattern, and recent increases in solar flare intensity, along with disturbances in Earth's magnetic field, align with the historical data encoded in the ancient carvings. And finally, the constellations and astronomical markers I deciphered from the pillars suggest a window for the next catastrophic solar event falls within a 6,000-year cycle, which aligns eerily with the near future. Because of all these variables, and based off my calculations, the date of the next solar micronova will be in early November 2028. If my predictions are true, and the world goes dark, don't wait for help. No one is coming to save us. And that concludes Excavate. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. Unfortunately, we won't be going back to weekly episodes. That being said, we'll be trying to drop in once a month with a new one for you. Our next episode is entitled Dark Oxygen and involves a scientific discovery at the bottom of the ocean. Take care, and we'll see you then.